So here we are this week, and this time we're going to talk about something very close to my heart, very dear to me, and I'm sure to many of you. Many of you who do it, absolutely in love with it already, and many of you who think or wish to do it someday, and for those who've never tried it. This video is something that's very personal and an interesting conversation too. So I'm sure all of you have heard about solo travels, right? And how many of you have done it? For me, for a very long time, I'm now touching 55 in a few months, 5 months to go to be exact. So till I turned 50, I'd never done a solo travel. Solo travel was out of cards. It was unsafe. It was not needed. And frankly, I didn't have the privileges. Let's put it that way. I didn't have privileges to travel alone. But come 50, and I decided to work on myself on multiple levels. And someday we'll talk about all the different levels that I've worked with, which most of you might know a few already. But the one that today I'm going to talk about is traveling. Traveling for me has been always my passion. I've loved traveling with groups, with family, with friends, with people I care with, and I've been with, right? But then traveling with people has been exciting, has been good, has been a learning experience. But I've always loved solo travel when I've heard stories from others. So, come 50, when I turned 50, 4 years back, almost 5 years back then, it kind of got me thinking. And I started like in small distances, right? The very close one. My first solo travel was to Mysore, literally, right? And that it was travel in the morning and come back in the evening. Staying in the night was not, comfortable for me and things like that. So, hence, solo travels became a very big part of my life because just traveling that one day to Mysore by myself, that was a side of me that I had never ever experienced. It was one of the most beautiful experiences, very scary, got me on the edge, scared, and I can tell you 100 things that went wrong with because I had never done that before. My planning was so bad, the timing that I left, the timing that I came back, the money that I had planned, everything was all over the place. Nothing was right. But I came back a happier person. I came back absolutely thrilled about the fact that the problems that came were mine. The way I handled the problems was up to me. It didn't depend on anyone around. And I came back, right? The biggest thing for me was that I could do this. So that's where the journey began, right? And at that point, I didn't realize that there was a deeper impact happening to me in that solo trips. The impact of knowing myself, knowing my strengths, my weaknesses, and spending time with myself. Now, come almost 5 years, I'm right now in one of my solo travels. But I can tell you this that the last few days have kind of pushed me or, nudged me to create this video so that I could tell all of you how important it is to spend time with yourselves. There are various aspects to, self love, self care, put yourself ahead of others, work on yourself, be focused on what you desire first. There are 100 things that we talk about, all that fine. But when you plug in being on the move, traveling to new places or even to old places, the places that you've already been, you could go to a place 1,000 times and still come back with new experiences, new friendships, new relationships, new lessons, new learnings every single time. I know, like, even today, if I travel to Mysore, I will come back a better human being and a better person. So it's not the place that matters, it's about you. Everything's about you. And that is what is important. So today I would like to tell you three things that I hold absolute value in my solo trips. It's that time out with myself. I genuinely mean that. It would be a complete time out with yourself in the rawest and in the most, what you say, in the most candid manner, right? Like when you are traveling by yourself, all you're thinking about is what you desire, what you want to do, what decision you want to take, how do you want to go about it. Every single thing is about you. And that's when you actually realize about everything that you think about you. So that one of the key things which I tell, right, when I'm with another person, anyone, you name it, anyone, there's an immediate change of a thought process which comes in every aspect of us. We might not want to do it. We are not trying to not be authentic. We are authentic, but still it's influenced by the presence around. But when you are alone, when you're traveling alone, when you're not in your comfort of your home or in a known environment, that's when you actually ask some important questions. So for me, every solo trip has scraped off a new layer. I come off from every solo trip with a revelation or, with an awareness of something about me which I've not and be, not been aware of before. And that's beautiful. That's amazing. That literally is like that coffee smell between the two perfumes, right? Like the moment I realize, oh my God, I could do this, or I am this, or I am happy doing this, that realization is worth a million things, right? So that is one. Then the second thing that I would like to tell you is we need to get out there, out of these mobile applications, these AIs and the machines and the laptops and the phones that we sit. You need to get out there, meet with real people. And when I mean real people in the sense of strangers, of the way you behave around strangers when you're yourself. I have seen this with time and again that as I've traveled more and more alone, it's humbled me, it's made me more considerate about people around. I've been, one of the things that I keep doing is I keep looking out around where people are trying. They're not the selfie friendly. I'm a selfie addict, but they're not that selfie friendly, but they have no choice. They want to take a picture, even if it's a group or family, or they're just trying to focus on the thing. And I just approach them and say, hey, do you want me to click a picture for you? And the pleasure that they get and the way I've received compliments from them, they're like, oh my God, you're such a sweet person, right? And I'm like, I'm thinking in my heart, okay, all I did is volunteer to click a moment for them. Nothing big, right? So it humbles you. It wants you, the journey by yourself makes you aware of how much more you can do, which would not require much out of you, but you'd carry this beautiful satisfied feeling with you. And the last but not the least, the most important part of traveling alone is absolute, just that feeling of choosing a place, living there, even if it's for a couple of days, a weekend trip, or a 1 day trip, or a 1 week trip, right? Choosing in an environment that is not familiar to you and allocating your resources, your time, your money, your work, ensuring that your life is not pulled off the plug just because you're traveling. Many people tell me, when I'm sitting and working on my laptop somewhere in the middle of nowhere when nobody knows me, and they're like, are you on a holiday or are you on a work trip? And I'm like, I'm traveling. It's not a holiday, it's not a work trip. It's a holiday, it's a work trip, right? It's nothing to do with that. It's my life. And in that life, I travel, right? So try when you're working, when you're traveling, it's okay to write a book or write a blog or do a video like this or just do a little bit of work which you love doing. not something that drains the life out of you, or even that. In fact, I've heard stories of some other solo travelers who've said that when they're solo traveling, tripping, that's when they take out the most difficult jobs that they have, and they realize that they do a brilliant job at it, right? They actually end up bringing better results when they are by themselves traveling. So I don't know what works for you, but what for me, I love taking up things that I enjoy working on and work on it in my trips. So, and that's my best output. I've come up with some best services strategies for my own business offerings. I've come up with some great solutions for my clients when I work with in my solo trips. So hence I choose my work that I do in solo trips because that's when I'm the candid most productive, right? So yep, do not miss out on solo trips. Do not be that person who says, "Hey, I'm not the person who travels alone," right? Why not? Why not are you the person to travel alone? Travel. Maybe you never know. You'll find that special side of you that you've never known. So go out there, do your booking today. I'm not trying to promote or make my trip or any travel portal here or a travel business. All I'm saying is get out there and do what you love doing.